Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Happy Friday, happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Power of Etiquette and Manners, brought to you by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes. Today, we have a very special guest and a very special topic. Our topic is one we have never discussed here before, so I'm really excited. Our topic is Olympic etiquette, the role of sportsmanship in games. So let's get the show started. First, let's welcome Mr. Philip Sykes himself. Here he is, joining us from the UK. Hello.
JACALYN, it's that big Friday. Okay, yeah, let's get cracking. I haven't seen you or already had a chance to chat to you for a while. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Philip. I'm really excited. We have more people joining new shows. I think we have 49 shows now, so always something in the works. I love it. How are things with you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Yeah, cracking on. Lots of balls in the air, but yeah, we're all in good health, and the summer shares itself every now and then in the UK. I'm sure you're having beautiful weather where you are.
Yes, it is absolutely magnificent today here in New Jersey. It was raining for a few days, but we need the rain, right? We have to have the rain. So absolutely. I know we have a wonderful guest backstage. We were having a chance to speak before the show started. Philip, before we bring her out, would you please tell people a little bit about what you do there at the British School of Excellence and how you can help our audience?
Certainly. We have the privilege of connecting and engaging with children, teenagers, young adults, middle-aged adults, and slightly older adults right across the world. And yeah, it's just a phenomenal privilege and experience to work with such a genre of people around the world. And it is literally around the world. I can honestly say, if you choose a country name, okay, we haven't done anyone from Timbuktu, but most countries we work with students from from most of the countries around the world. And the British School of Excellence is very much focused on giving people that confidence to put their best foot forward in any given situation. How can we as human beings, better ourselves, show up with the right mindset, show up with the right sort of attitude, and really develop strong relationships right across the board. I would love people to understand that as a human being, the importance of our etiquette and manners and emotional intelligence is a lifestyle choice. And this is what we really vindicate, and this is what we really eat and breathe in our organization. And if any of you out there are interested in developing your life in whatever direction, I promise you, if you commit to us, we will commit all we can to you and give you these quintessential tools that will serve you for the rest of your life and for your family and generations to come.
Absolutely brilliant as always. And Philip, I saw recently that you just had another group of cohorts come through your program. And as I've mentioned, every time the people who come through your doors and graduate, the alumni, are at the highest level of professionalism and have the biggest hearts. They just truly want to make a difference in the world.
1,000,000%. It really is that you summed it up brilliantly. And it's not just, someone sent a message in the other day and said, what qualifications do I need? I went back to him and said, are you a nice person? That's where it starts. In a world where you can be absolutely anything, just be nice. From there, you can move in any direction you want to.
Fantastic. Excellent words for us to all live by in this world today. So tell us about our beautiful guest backstage.
Well, I've had the privilege of not only working with KLAUDIA on a coaching level, but meeting KLAUDIA in person, which for those of you out there, it's fairly rare when you are involved with coaching from different dimensions in different parts of the world. But I'm lucky to say and confident to say that Claudia's from Europe, the European Union, however, lives in the beautiful town or city of Cambridge. And not only have I had the chance and opportunity to coach Claudia, but also to work with Claudia. Claudia has come from a very strong hospitality background, has an unbelievable passion for working with people and giving people these quintessential tools on how to develop themselves. And recently, Claudia and I, we're on a 3-day coaching training program for a group of wonderful teenagers who are visiting from China on a summer camp here. We had an amazing Friday. I think it was Friday. I can't remember what day of the week, doesn't matter. But we had a day working with 2 groups of 24 students each. And we're back there next Saturday, and we've got one more day off the back of that. So without further ado, I bring Claudia into the studio, and I know Claudia is passionate about what we're focusing on.
Welcome, Claudia. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. This is such a pleasure. And thank you, Philip, for kind words. Thank you.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
You know, it's so encouraging when people work together remotely and then they actually get together in person. What a gift that is.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
For
it
sure.
Really is. But you feel you know that person, and then all of a sudden you see them in person and you go, gee, this is real. This is so much more real.
So just out of curiosity from each of you, when you actually met in person, were each of you the way you thought they would be? So for example, tall or short, did you have any immediate?
Claudia is this beautiful, gorgeous woman who's modeled, and she also played basketball at a high level. So Claudia is tall, but obviously in this medium, you can't really, predict, is this person tall, short, medium? But Claudia is got a lovely height to her, and glamorous and elegant, and as I knew she would be, but I didn't realize how tall she was.
Yes, initially I met Philip online. I've done a train-the-trainer course, and I learned all the first impression rules of etiquette from Philip, and he makes the most exquisite impression. And it didn't disappoint. When I met him in person, he's very gracious and courteous, and it was a fantastic, great impression. And how he carries himself, you can feel it even from the screen.
Fantastic. Well, I hope that I get to meet both of you in person someday. I would love that. So, Claudia, you are an international etiquette consultant. Can you share a little bit more about that specifics with our audience if they're wondering, oh, I wonder how I could work with Claudia?
Essentially, I love to work with youth. We live in a global world now in a way that we travel for university, for school, we travel for pleasure, and the world has become much smaller in a sense. But mixing different cultures and traditions and visiting different countries has created the need to learn the etiquette and the norms maybe in those countries. So that way we have the best experience, but also showing respect for the culture that we are visiting. So I create courses for youth that they can learn the differences in between cultures, but also what brings us together.
Congratulations. That's such an important thing that you're doing, especially giving youth the tools that will help them excel and succeed in life. And as I always say, Philip, you know this, I'm 61 and I have to undo a lot of things that I learned when I was much younger. So if we can learn positive things now, that's so exciting. And I think that's empowering, gives you confidence.
Oh, it's huge. It is absolutely huge. And Claudia not only works and is phenomenal with youngsters and teenagers, but her research is incredible. And actually, thanks Claudia, when we were on the train to Bristol last week, she shared some statistics with me from a research that really was quite harrowing in the sense, okay, it's a bit of research that's come out of the USA. They researched 800 organizations, as in businesses, about their experience with youngsters and the interview process. And the statistics are actually frightening, so much so that I felt I had to make a post on it. 51% battled with eye contact, 49%, I think from memory, what did they do, Claudia? Asked for a package that wasn't.
Yes, ask for a compensation, inappropriate compensation.
Absolutely.
For the labor, for the work.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, the statistics, I think 21% took a parent to an interview with them. And 27% refused to turn their cameras on during an interview. And I think 24% used incorrect or foul language. Now,
Yes.
Dr. JACALYN and Claudia, I'm sure you find those statistics absolutely harrowing.
I'm very surprised, actually. It's well, the work that you're doing is obviously able to change that. So the one thing I think is important, and we're going to get into Olympic etiquette as well, when we're talking about etiquette and manners for the young people, for the youth, for teenagers, how important is the support of their parents or their caregivers?
Absolutely. This is one of the most important issues that has risen from the pandemic, for example, how the children and youth is affected these days, especially after not being able to socialize and building those the essential social skills, going to job interviews, meeting up for dinners, coffees, social life. So they've been stripped of these opportunities. It's not their fault. And I assume parents had more of a protective role in that sense over the last 4 years. But I try to focus on helping them and giving those tools. And this is where it drives me to empower them with everything I know, and from British School of Excellence as well, to empower them, because they will be the future of the next, economy, the next changes in the world. It will affect everyone.
Absolutely. And something I just would like to add to that is I remember when I was growing up, my dad would say, well, when I was growing up, blah, blah, blah. I kind of, sorry, Dad. But I think if we help children realize that we want them to succeed, we want them to be empowered, we want them to feel confident. It's not about what it was like when I was growing up. It's about what it's like right now and what we can do to support them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Jackson. But as Claudia said, what is so upsetting in this day and age is that we're all quite quick to judge, oh, it's Gen Z or this, Gen X, that. But the root of the cause really starts from parenting and schools. And this is where there's been such a big disconnect in this day and age. Yes, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. We have to accept that. We have to accept change. We have to accept a growth mindset, 1,000,000%. But as the World Economic Forum stipulated in states, it says we need everything. And they listed 10 items that we need as human beings. Only one of them was the technology. The rest are all the human touch and the human skills that we need in order to connect and build this human to human. And really, we as human beings, and I'm obviously throwing a very general blanket over the world, is we need to go back to core values in upbringing and how we guide and steer our beautiful children. Because let's face it, our children did not have a choice to be born or not to be born. We have made that commitment. It's a huge responsibility, which unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't look at it like that. They might be concerned for their children that something bad doesn't happen to them or blah, blah, blah. But it's a box that you've got to be able to read the instructions. There's no guidance, but when I say read the instructions, it's a rule book on how one should coordinate and conduct their upbringing, to guide our children and to steer our children, if that makes any sense. We owe it to them, because whether we like it or not, a child comes into this world, can either already be set up to fail because of the parenting that takes place, or will be set up to achieve because maybe just the parents push them, but the right people also are presented to them on their journey that again encourage them and support them on this journey. And it's a collective responsibility as human beings. We've got to show up for our children.
Absolutely. And it's almost similar how we have to take care of our planet, because we're not going to be here at some point and the rest of the world will. Well, with all the things that separate us, one thing that really brings us together is sports, is watching sports, a football game, a tennis match, whatever it might be. So today is the opening of the Olympics. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, it's very exciting, as it's happening in Paris as well. So those who are in Europe, in UK, we can watch it live on time, and I can't wait to actually enjoy the athletics, as that's my favorite part. But at the same time, it's interesting when it's in Paris and talking about etiquette. Etiquette essentially came up from France. That's where the roots take us. So it's great to be speaking about this subject.
Well, thank you for bringing it up, because otherwise we wouldn't be discussing it. It's such a great topic. As I mentioned, we haven't had any conversation about this. So what I've also thought is so interesting, especially the world that we're in now, we're not going to talk about politics, but obviously politics separate people. But sports bring people together. You can have people from all over the world watching something. And I know people over here are huge on is it soccer, football? I don't know which, I get confused. But people will cheer for other teams internationally. It doesn't matter. And yet, after the game's over, people can try to, cut somebody off from the parking lot. It's crazy. So when we think about Olympic etiquette, is this different, or how is it different from other sporting events in terms of how you show up and carry yourself? Claudia?
Well, I believe this is the most interesting event and most amazing. Just watching the opening and seeing all the countries participating, it dissolves those barriers and those borders as we tune into the human capabilities, the human potential. And I think this is what's the best about humanity. It kind of opens this level of participation, and also for us as almost entertainment on an international level. It's beautiful.
Well said. Thank you very much. I also think what's so incredible is that we get to see the participants, the athletes. We know how much they've sacrificed. We know how much they've committed, and they're there on behalf of their country and as part of a team. And it's such a big commitment to actually make. So for the participants, for the athletes themselves, what kind of etiquette is there that they need to follow? I can think of a couple of instances in the past where one athlete wasn't too kind to another athlete, and we don't have to go there. But what are some common courtesies that we should all be aware of when it comes to athletes and how they should treat each other?
I think the basics apply. It's important to show respect. So little mind games or showing competitiveness in a negative way, that doesn't show sportsmanship. So do shake hands. Do be open to different cultures and diversity. It's important to practice sportsmanship in a way of congratulations and cheer, and be resilient in situations and not let your emotions take you to a negative space. It's really important to start with the basics. Respect, be a good cheer, and be a good sportsman, practice that element.
Absolutely. Thank you. And there are some times when people are not at their peak performance. Maybe they're, for that one moment, they didn't do well. And you go and lift them up and say it's going to be all right, or do you go and say, oh yeah, that she really messed up today? Right, Philip, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, just to pick up off what Claudia is so brilliantly sharing with us, is it's with technology at our fingertips, learning basic phrases on greetings, for example, make that a little bit of a connection via someone's language. If you're meeting someone from the Arabic community, you might say assalamu alaikum. If you're meeting someone in France, you might say bonjour. I mean, we can go into all the different languages and greetings, but just by literally being mindful of sharing a nice warm greeting is going to build a nice rapport. Again, things like we need to observe customs and take time to learn and observe certain customs and traditions. And it could be whether it's in dining and gestures or in social interactions. We need to be patient and open-minded, in this whole journey. And again, I truly believe, I want to go back to technology, we need to be respectful and the privacy and really consent when we're taking pictures and videos, avoiding excessive use of mobile devices, and be present and show appreciation for these incredible athletes that have put so much time and dedication into this journey. I was listening to the radio just the other day. They've been interviewing various athletes, and this is a full-time occupation. This is not just waking up and doing a bit of training 1 or 2 days a week. I mean, Dr. JACALYN, you train every day, and that's why you're so fit and agile and able to get up and get out there at your wonderful age. But let me tell you right now, these athletes, they have to hone in. It's an 8-hour day. It's mindset. It's different activities they've got to do. They've got to understand that we as human beings need to be respectful of their performances as well, and to be polite and kind, and to cheer people on no matter which country you might be there for. You've got to absolutely appreciate the athleticism that is involved in the Olympics, and any sport for that matter.
It's a major commitment. And just to segue to something else, there was a series on Netflix about professional football players here in the US. And when I watched the show, I was really taken back, because you think to yourself, you hear they have a contract, they're getting a huge amount of money, and they have to go out on the field for a certain amount of time. But when you hear about all the training that takes place, and when you hear about how their bodies are impacted and how their minds are impacted and how people are managing their money and they didn't know anything about money, and then people are stealing from them, I had a completely different perspective that for a National Football League player who might be playing for 5 years or 6 years, they might not be able to do anything after that, and they might be broke as a result of it. So I think obviously the Olympics is very different, but people are making a major contribution that impacts them physically, mentally, socially, and in so many ways.
Completely.
Absolutely. And those things that can, the commitment that players actually give to be at the level they are, and also striving to become an Olympic athlete. This is the ultimate goal. So representing that, it's important to have the support group. It's important to be in a position where essentially you are being put forward. Somebody believes in your potential. And this can be hijacked by many things, like you mentioned, Dr. JACALYN, bad contracts, time frames that essentially are not suitable. It's important to know yourself in a way as a sports person, and give them credit for what they go through and how they inspire us. As you can see in Olympics, after every Olympics, there is a huge uptick in people starting to exercise. They get motivated. I think we need those that watch sports and actually use it as inspiration of what the human can achieve and how it can better us altogether. So there is this human element of appreciation and respect, and giving credit for what they go through.
I completely agree. It's something I want to add to that is when you have athletes who are out there. I'm going to mention Wimbledon. I'm going to mention 10 men's singles, for example, and they could be out there for 5 hours in the elements, and their mind has to be so sharp, physically, mentally. They have to be at the peak performance, and then the crowd starts to boo. They want one player versus the other player. And I always thought, why do you have to boo? But the point I was trying to make is about these professionals that mentally they have to block out whatever it is that they're hearing. And what an incredible message and lesson it is for the rest of us to think, if we could block out all of the noise and distraction in the world and focus on our journey of kindness, of giving back, what would the world be like?
Absolutely. What would the world be like? Yeah, I was walking earlier today with Coco, and I just think, human beings, we're meant to be at the top of the food chain and meant to be the smartest creatures on the earth. Well, we could debate that for a very long time because of the way we behave, the way we treat one another, the way we treat the earth. It's just beggars belief that we are living now in 2024, and yet the world is so upside down in so many areas. And we sit here talking on this amazing opportunity, this platform, to try and give people these tools. And I pray and I hope that this program and what you're doing, Dr. JACALYN, with USA Global TV, is just getting spread far and wide, because all this can do is add value to people's lives, and all people need to do is take note and then place and put things into action. And that can't be that difficult, but it seems to be. And I don't want to go out on a negative note this afternoon on any level, but just, this whole thing of, in a world where you can be anything, be kind, go out there, show respect. Just as KLAUDIA said, it starts with respect for one another. That's it.
Respect is key. And KLAUDIA, I'd love to have you comment. I feel like part of the reason why we lose respect or we're disrespectful is because we have an inability to contain or control our emotions. And being in control of your emotions, I truly believe, is part of etiquette and manners. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Emotional regulation, the same as emotional intelligence, that is very applicable in those environments. Imagine the athletes, I believe the athletes at the top level, they have a mindset training as important as their physical training. They need to know the rules of fair play and follow those rules with maintaining composure. And, they applaud good game. They respect each other. And I believe you mentioned Wimbledon. Those sports people, they hold themselves so good. They cheer each other, but they also so graceful, accepting victory or defeat. So we can learn on how to handle those failures or victories in life. This is very transferable skills that we can observe in sports people.
Excellent point. Thank you.
Beautifully.
If you think about the opening day of the Olympics, there's a lot of emotions, right? A lot of anticipation, whether it's with the athletes or if it's with the people in the crowds. There can be pushing and shoving. Oh, let me get a picture of him or her. I see them walking by. So what I wanted to just talk about a little bit, Philip, you touched on this, is having etiquette and manners with your device and realizing that, do you have permission to take photographs or videos of all these people in the crowd and then go ahead and upload it and put it all over your social media? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, look, it happens at every game and every sport and every show. I mean, I think you miss out on so much. I really and truly do. And we don't have to go back that far in time to, look back at other events. And yes, people had cameras, but they weren't so, so frivolous with their cameras. They took pictures appropriately, give or take. They took people cheering and enjoying themselves. But now that we've got this instant access to a device that captures everything, whether it be a voice note or whether it be a picture or a video, people now have almost lost that filter, so to speak, in just using it frivolously or at the peril of someone else. And I think in this world we live in, yes, athletes do get filmed, and that's not the issue, but we spend so much time on these devices that we're missing out on the energy, the atmosphere, being present and really connecting with the culture, the audience, the people that we are surrounding ourselves with.
Thank you, Philip. I agree with that. What are your thoughts, KLAUDIA?
I second all the points that Philip mentioned. I would love to add that sports personalities these days are celebrities. This has become so prevalent, especially in social media, that people record and almost become their own paparazzi, because they are in a presence or watching live performances. This can be this comes with the job, I must say, for the sports personalities at this level. But we do need to be mindful. We do need to be mindful that we don't become those paparazzis, that we enjoy what is happening in front of us, and that we respect their time and will as well. And, at the same time, we should avoid, as we should avoid taking pictures in their face, we should also avoid trash talk and disrespect and actually, become a spectator that also observes etiquette.
Completely agree with you. Something else I want to bring up, you just mentioned trash talk, is I've actually seen and heard on various news programs where a spectator will have paid a significant amount of money to attend an event, sporting event, and then it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. And they just lose complete control of themselves once again about how are you showing up in the world. And if your expectation is you spend $10,000 to go to Wimbledon to have a seat at the table, so to speak, then only one person's going to win in that match. Yeah. And so regardless, are you there to celebrate the actual match? Or are you there to bring yourself down to a lower level? Philip, I see you nodding your head. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects to take into account there, but it is all about, grounding yourself. And the fact, if you can afford to buy a premium ticket, then brush up, get yourself organized, understand the so-called rules of engagement. Something I want to sort of bolt onto that is the general public are also I've been in certain situations, and I'm going to turn this slightly into a concert. Kerry, Harley, and I went to a concert a few weeks ago at Hampton Court Palace to watch Jessie J, and we had people behind us who definitely had a little bit too much drink, but they were making such a raucous racket behind us that it was actually unpleasant. We couldn't actually focus on this incredible artist and musician, and it wasn't just disturbing us, it was disturbing a huge amount of people in their so-called sort of within striking distance. And I turned around, I said, hey, please, won't you just pipe down? Yes, we can enjoy yourself, but just you really are going above and beyond to in a negative way to disrupt everyone else's enjoyment of this incredible show. They're making it about them, and this is something which I think reflects back on your original question, Dr. JACALYN. It's not about you, it's about watching this incredible privileged opportunity that you have in front of you and absorbing it and making the most of that incredible opportunity, environment, and the energy that goes with it.
How did they receive your your comments?
Yeah, my second so-called shush wasn't as polite as the first one, I can assure you.
Did they pipe down?
I ended up just getting the security to tell them to either hush or leave. Yeah, I'll give that anyone advice that don't get involved. Just get security. It's the only way to deal with people who don't know how to behave.
It's very true, because in different parts of the world, I know when I'm in Florida, somebody could pull a knife or a gun. I'm not even exaggerating. Like if somebody cuts me off the road, go ahead, go on your way. I'm not going to get into anything with you. So one thing I would like to discuss when it comes to etiquette, when I think about Wimbledon, I don't know what the rules are, but I do know there have to be rules about the way you're dressed, the way you carry yourself, about your phones. I mean, you see people, they're in their best clothing and they're containing themselves to some degree. I just mentioned there are cases where they're not. What about at the Olympics? If you're attending the Olympics, is there a certain dress code that you have to follow?
There may not be a strict dress code, but I do believe that general rules apply. So depending on which, if you are a VIP seated or general seating, I think it's respectful to dress appropriately and not draw attention to yourself. It's great to dress up in supportive gear. I think it's wonderful to support your team or athlete. But there's rules of behavior as well, maintaining the space respectfully around you, keeping it clean, being mindful of using electronic devices, being seated or standing according to what people do as well, and not taking all the space for yourself. So it comes with the noises and how we use our personality during the watching. So participation usually involves good cheer, sportsmanship, respect. I think this what brings people together, and people who disrespect etiquette rules and good manners, they're usually easily visible, and hopefully they will cheer with the crowd and be mindful of that.
Thank you. And I think also in alignment with what you just shared is when your behavior is distracting from the actual event, then maybe you need to look at yourself and say, why are you drawing attention to yourself as opposed to watching whatever the event is?
I think that's very, very important to take note of, Dr. JACALYN. It's not about you, it's about everyone, it's about the performance, it's about the whole scenario, it's about the full experience. And let's immerse ourselves into that full experience rather than we be the full experience or want to be the full experience. It doesn't gel, it doesn't work. One normally lands up with egg on their face somewhere along the line.
Very true. Now, what about any rules of etiquette in terms of you decide you want to get up from your seat to use the restroom, or you're going to go and buy something from the convenience stand? I believe at Wimbledon you can only get up at certain times. I'm not sure. But what are good manners and etiquette about when you're standing up and being mindful that, let's say you decide to stand up and you're watching something, you're like, oh, and now you're still standing and you're blocking other people. Claudia.
Yes. I do believe this is similar to environments if you go to theater or an entertainment show like concerts, is to be mindful of other people. And in UK, we, the venues are organized beautifully when you can equip yourself with a drink or snack and bring it with you. And essentially, it's important to realize that we are not there alone. If you're with a group of people, make sure everyone's organized, come on time, punctuality. And this is the classic, basic social skill to apply. So there is always breaks included. It's important to plan your time so that it doesn't distract you from enjoying the event.
I love that. Thank you. Philip, what would you like to add?
Yeah, you have to be mindful. Yeah, again, it's slightly different to the sporting scene, but just last weekend on Saturday, we had the privilege of going to watch the ABBA Voyage concert here in London. And if anyone out there hasn't seen it, it's definitely something I would suggest you put on your bucket list. It's quite extraordinary. But we were on the sort of open dance floor area where we had a really good view of the stage. Little Harley was with us, and we had a really nice bit of space. You could see the stage, and about halfway through, 4 women in their 20s and 30s just came and stood right in front of us, not even considering that they had just literally weaved their way through the crowd, and now they've seen a little gap, and now they're going to stand there without any notice to anybody else. And eventually I just said, look, excuse me, we've been here all along. Could you please, go and find somewhere else to distribute yourself out there, and, go and find a spot that doesn't, disqualify Harley from engaging with this amazing concert. People really do have lost their situational awareness in this day and age. And it's because we now live in this microwave society. It's me, 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 me. That's all that seems to count. And we've got to get this, jog our memories and jog our mindsets to sort of shift this and start understanding it's about we as a world, as a global countries that come together. The Olympics is the perfect example of people being mindful of all the different aspects and moving parts that are associated with sport, with theaters, movies, shows, whatever it might be. When there are people in a crowd, especially, you need to be mindful.
Mindfulness is key for sure. We are actually already at the end of our show. The 40 minutes has just flown by. I can't believe it. But Claudia, I'd like to give you the opportunity to share anything that I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about today with our audience. Any last thoughts that you have?
Well, I would love to congratulate the athletes that will participate. I will watch with pleasure. Few points that I would recommend if people are going to Paris and watching live. There may be situations where we need to go with the traditions and respect the culture. So there will be, for example, a national anthem, and it's important to observe that silence during that. It's important to cheer all people who receive medals and really cultivate that sportsmanship.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you. Philip, what would you like to close out with today?
Just love hearing what Claudia shared there. I really do. And I feel that was such a nice way to sum it up. Respect is the key word, I think, of this journey. And, you know, the Olympics is not just a showcase of athletic prowess, or it's also a celebration of real global diversity and unity. And this brings people together. You know, I just wish when we, as you said to earlier, Dr. JACALYN, you know, we talk about politics, we talk about politicians, we talk about countries at each other's throats, but sport, for whatever reason is, brings people together, and people love each other, and they generally get on. But we need to observe the international etiquette during the Olympics and enhance mutual respect. Again, that word comes up in that respect. And it's fundamental that we connect and communicate correctly. We need to enhance a positive atmosphere. And I truly feel that, you know, if we're culturally sensitive and aware, and we're respectful and we're courteous, you know, with the participants, with the fellow spectators, we can all really embrace this incredible, I don't know how old the Olympics is, but I know it's hundreds of years old in the history books. We can really build incredible unity with countries and like-minded people, no matter our background or our culture. And that's one thing that I like to share with everyone. There's one race, and that's the human race, and we need to respect that.
Fabulous way to sum everything up, Philip. Thank you very much. Claudia, we've had your contact information here, but let's have you just share directly to people who would be a good client for you, and what's the best way to get in touch with you.
Well, as an ambassador for British School of Excellence, I would love to cooperate through British School of Excellence. And at the moment, we are creating courses about mindset and confidence. It's all for youth, children 12 to 18. So please, if you're interested in helping youth, your children or yourself, learn about social skills, first impressions, and how to do well on an interview, please contact British School of Excellence and we will cater for you.
Fantastic. And Claudia, one thing I just want to mention is that your last name is spelled differently than your social media links. Can you?
It is indeed. It is a Polish last name, but it's spelled Krawicz. Claudia Krawicz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Claudia.Krawicz.
Yes.
Yes, on social media, yes.
KLAUDIA.KRAVITZ.
And I would encourage anyone to link up with Claudia and just follow this incredible woman on her journey, because she's also an incredible example of someone who's so passionate about going out there and making a difference. So much so that basically Claudia has focused now fully into this arena of guiding, steering, coaching, and training adults, young adults and teenagers. And, you know, again, being in Cambridge, there's a wonderful student commitment that go to the colleges and the universities and schools there. And I would urge anyone who wants some guidance and steering, either for themselves or for their children, to reach out to Claudia and follow Claudia on her social channels.
Thank you, Philip. Any events that you have coming up for the British School of Excellence?
Any events? What do we have? Well, we've got Train the Trainer on Zoom starting in mid-August, which is hugely exciting. We're then starting the Polished Professional at the end of August, which is an 8-week journey. It's 2 hours every week for 8 weeks. It's a golden course for anyone out there. People can jump on, jump off. They don't have to go do the full 8 weeks, but I can assure you that our team of coaches are phenomenal, and they will give you these quintessential tools that you need in order to be advancing your career and taking yourself to the next level. And those are just 2 of the courses. And as Claudia mentioned, Mindset and Confidence, Mindset and Resilience are 2 of our teenage programs, which are going to be starting in the very near future as well. So it's just, I'm going to encourage people to look at the website, which is www.thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. We also have a fantastic e-learning platform where people can download a course for very little money, and they can go through that course in their time and leisure.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for a brilliant show. I really appreciate it, especially talking about a topic that we haven't talked about before. And I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to share your expertise in terms of etiquette and manners, being kind, being respectful, doing the right thing. When we don't do the right thing, we feel it in our body. I really truly believe that. So thank you again. And
Thank
look
you,
forward
Dr. JACALYN.
to seeing you both on another show.
Thanks so much, Dr. Jackson. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Philip.
Bye-bye,
See you
audience.
again.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye for now. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please do subscribe to our channels, USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. JACALYN KERBECK on YouTube. And you can find us also on Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, and E360 TV. That's a wrap for now. We're coming back with our next show shortly. Let's hear a message from Philip about the Polished Professional. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance and Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.